All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. I'm back. We took a little summer hiatus from our live streams, but we are back in full force as we gear up for our big event, Content Marketing World. It's coming up quickly, September 28th through October 1st. So from now until the event, we will be featuring some of our awesome ICYMI World speakers for these live streams. They are going to share their expertise and knowledge with all of you because we have such a generous community of speakers and experts. So it's going to be a very exciting couple of weeks. ICYMI World is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. If you don't know what CMI is, we are the leading training and education organization for all things content marketing. You can check us out at the Content Marketing Institute already. So let's see here. If we have some people checking in with us. Remember, you guys, you can always drop me a note, give me a virtual wave, say hello, let me know where you are joining us from. You guys know we love to see that. All right. So I'm excited about today's topic and guest is an understatement. All right. Here's a question for you all. Have any of you out there tried improv? I'm not going to lie, it's on my bucket list once I work up the courage to try it. How about this question? Do you want your marketing team to be adept at taking risks? What about pivoting quickly when things change rapidly? Have they been able to do that well over the last year and a half? What if I said to do this effectively, every marketing team should run like an improv group? That's right, an improv group, and you do not need to be a comedian. I learned that to do this. And that is what we are going to chat about today. But first, here's my question of the day. Have any of you taken an improv class? Anyone have any formal comedic training? Or maybe you were a comedian in a former life, or maybe you just think you're funny. I don't know. But can you drop me a little comment? Let me know. Let's chat about that today. All right. So without further ado here, I am going to introduce today's awesome guest. I've really learned a lot from her. Kathy Klotz-Guest is a former Silicon Valley marketing executive and trained stage improviser. That's right. She's been trained at LA Second City. She now runs her own consultancy, Keeping It Human, where for the last 15 years, she's taken all that awesome training and she helps people, teams, and brands be more human in their content through creativity, storytelling. Welcome, Kathy. So excited to see you. Thank you.
So great to see you. I love Content Marketing World. Like some of my favorite people. I love you guys. And
I know.
Yeah, no, and I studied lots of places, like sketch in LA, Second City, comedy, sports, lots of different places. And I've been doing stage work for well over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I was like a fetal bride. I know, right? You're like, what? How's that possible? And the thing is I was doing that, 6-7 nights a week, working in tech and bringing those two together until I left to do that full time. And I love that you framed it, and thank you. It really is. Yes, improv will make you funnier. It absolutely will, because it strengthens your risk-taking muscle so that you're less afraid to take chances. However, in business, it's really less about, being funny, and that is a byproduct. It's really about having the confidence to let go when the script no longer works. And what happens? I mean, we have seen in the last 17, 18 months, because of COVID, we all had a plan. I don't know about you, but my plan was like, yo, it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. No. And for so many businesses, yes, we still have a long-term plan that we don't throw out, but we have to recognize that in the short run, what we planned does not work. It's not viable. We have to deal with the reality that we have in front of us. And improvisation is a set of tools that says, all right, with the choice in front of us that we have now, we have to play the scene we're in. So how do we yes and the moment? And yes and that to make the best choices to move forward? And that's the same skill sets that allow an improv group to create magic on a stage, are the same skills
Well, let's back up a second, because this is something that that's something, because I really didn't understand anything about like the theory of improv or whatever. So I started listening to you and your presentation. So for someone who's just sort of, okay, what, improv, I get it, I've seen people up there, but what about this? Can you kind of explain a little the yes and theory or practice of improv? Because that's sort of the basic.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you read my mind. So yes and is really the cornerstone of improv. There's a lot of principles of improv. And if you've taken improv, you've heard of yes and. It really is the cornerstone. It's this idea that the way that we build a scene together, the way that we're able to create magic on a stage, is that improvisers say yes and they build on each other's ideas. So you know how like you build Legos brick by brick, somebody adds a brick and then you add a brick and then somebody else adds a brick and somebody else adds a brick. And here's the concept, is that we listen for what we call an offer. Something's changed. Somebody makes a big, bold offer. Maybe your customer comes to you and says, this isn't what I need. And you see it as a no. And really what they're saying is, can you help me? And yes and is the language of business, of sales. So you listen for an offer, and then you accept the reality that you have, and then you build on it. And maybe I say to Amanda, hey, you know what? I think that for the next CM World, we should have like a virtual, phone booth. And she doesn't yes but me, is how we do every day. We yes but each other without even realizing it. She'll say, oh, and we should also have clowning. And then I say, and we should take these photos from around the world and ask everybody to dress as a clown, their favorite clown. Oh, and we can invite clowns to teach us clowning workshops. And we could learn from clowning, how to be more present. And we could then have a hackathon where we all figure out ways to be more present for our customers. And we invite customers to participate, and we're building a spiral of really good ideas. And the beauty about yes and is not all those ideas are going to be viable yet. Because we yes anded, we are going to come up with ideas we never would have even discovered before, just because we got together and we created it in the moment together.
That's great. And you kind of touched on like the big marketing, like a lot of companies are afraid to take like the big risks, convincing your marketing team. But you talk a lot about, starting with, the power of taking these smaller risks. Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah. You can't go from, 0 to 180. I mean, it's very hard to do. Most of us are not Porsches. And that's okay. We don't need to be. What ends up happening is the more that we create a mindset, improv is a mindset. It's a yes and mindset. It's a growth mindset. And the more that we show up in our teams, the more that we show up as companies, as leaders, to yes and small little things, the more we strengthen that muscle. And let's be very clear. This is table stakes, is that yes and is the very foundation of customer service. I'm going to say it again. You may not see that you're yes-anding people, but think about what customer service is. A customer comes to you and says, well, this isn't what I need. And what is your response? Your response as a company is, ooh, yes, I see it didn't work for you. And I'm here to work together with you to create a better experience. You're already yes-anding. That's what sales is. Yes, and how can I find a solution to move you forward? That's customer service, that's employee experience, CX, EX, it's sales. It is the language of sales. So the thing, Amanda, is we've got to teach marketing teams to be intentional about small risks, small little experiments. How can every day I say yes and to somebody on my team, their idea? How can I yes and my customer? How can I say yes and to a possibility? Maybe a user has an idea for a marketing campaign. Instead of saying no, not right now, which is what we usually do, we yes, but how can we train our people to go, there's an opportunity in there. And what's a small thread that I can say yes and to? And that's retraining the way that we think about it.
So can this work? Because a lot of people say B2B is a little different than B2C. So can this also apply to, say, a B2B space?
So I came from B2B, so I'm going to call some. So B2B does not mean blah and boring. Okay. B2B, no, the dog ate your homework. That is not an excuse anymore. So time out for you. In all seriousness, I hear this over and over again, and you're so right, Amanda. It works for everything because fundamentally, B2B, we hear it's human. The name of my company is Keeping It Human. We're talking about human beings that have needs. And anytime, business is all about how can I say yes and to a need. If you're thinking that somehow B2B is special, yes, you're special, just like everybody else. Because the thing is even in B2B, you may have a big client come to you and say, okay, here's what I really need. That's still an opportunity to say yes, and how can we think differently to serve you better? That's still an opportunity for yes, and we have to remove out the idea that improv and B2B has to be funny or about humor, and it can be. It's not. At its core, that yes and concept is about possibility. How can I think differently to serve my customer? I mean, COVID changed so much. It forced people, because literally that playbook got taken away. And companies had to go, you know what? This doesn't work anymore. So how do I say yes and to where my customers are now? That was improvisation. That was the most fundamental act of yes and. And B2B, B2C, they all did it. So again, I'm not letting people get away with that old excuse.
That's good, right? Because we hear that time. You and I both have heard that time and time again, right? It's funny.
Yes.
It's B2B, it's boring or whatever. So
doesn't have to be. That's a choice. That's a choice. It's
right.
not a requirement. Boring is a choice.
Yes. All right. You also talk about, or you're going to talk about in your CM World presentation about building innovative teams. So maybe, what are a few of those key elements to doing that?
Yeah. So here's my theory, and I think we are improv groups. So I'm going to say this right now, whether you accept that notion or not, and you probably never thought of it that way, your team is an improv group. And I'll tell you why. Because you have to realign, you have to work together, co-create, things change, you have to pivot every day. So you're already an improviser. And your team is having to improvise. Everybody had to. COVID is a high stakes example, but sometimes the stakes are lower and we have to switch and we have to adjust. So you're already an improv team. So my theory is, if you're going to be an improv team, why not be an intentionally purposeful, good team, not a sucky team? And so here are some of the ways that we have to think about it. Here's one of the most fundamental concepts is, how do we create psychological safety? The reason improvisers on a stage are able to do that is we have a concept called I got your back. And it really is about yes and it's also about no matter what you say, there's no right, there's no wrong. I'm going to build on it. Imagine in our teams if we judged each other's ideas less and said, what's viable about, okay, Bob has an idea, Amanda has an idea, Mo has an idea. What's viable in all these ideas, and how can I build on what they said? Rather than how can I yes, but, and find 20 reasons why it won't work. How can I find reasons why it will work? That's psychological safety. And we have to build that in. Another thing that we have to do is we have to embrace and cultivate curiosity. What if we did that? What if we, why can't banks allow people to bring pets into the bank? Why can't we have drive-through coffee stations? Why can't we have movie theaters that allow people to eat and serve you a meal, a la Alamo Draft House? Those businesses exist because people said, what if we changed the way business ran? So these are just a few concepts, and there's a few others. It really requires us to think intentionally about possibility.
I love that. And I also love that as just a general life philosophy, right? Because I'm a mom, so I'm always like, no, but is always yes, but
Yes.
this is why we can't do it.
Yes, but. Well, we do it all day, every day, and we don't realize we're doing it. And so
Yeah.
the thing about yes, but is it's our default. Humans but each other
Mhm.
without even being aware that we do it. And what yes and is bringing intentionality to that. There's no shame if we yes but. It's a habit we have to break. The issue then is that we don't realize the damage that if we yes but each other all day, every day, the psychological safety plummets and people stop giving their best ideas, and it works counter to innovation. So one of the things that we've got to look out for is it safe to have crazy ideas? Is it safe to be the person to go, well, what if? How might we? Oh my God, what if we flip this upside down? And we have to encourage that. And the thing is that it's all across the board. It's the way we talk to our partners at home. It's the way we talk to our kids. It's the way that, we show up in life. And I think yes and is a mindset for growth in anything.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
All right, Kathy, you can see her at Content Marketing World when she goes more in depth on this very fascinating topic to me, and hopefully to you too as well. You can head over to contentmarketingworld.com to learn more. And if you decide to register while you're there, which we hope you do, we have both online and in-person options. You can use the code TW100. So in the meantime, Kathy, how can people find you?
Sure. You can find me at most of the social platforms at Kathy Klotz-Guest, no hyphen. You can find me on LinkedIn. I have a new LinkedIn course all about, guess what? Leading in the moment and how to pivot when things change. Yes, just dropped last week, a new LinkedIn course. So you can also find me at keepingithuman.com.
All right. Awesome. And will we see you at Content Marketing? Are you online or in person?
I am online this year, which I miss everybody. I love everybody. It is one of my favorite conferences, but given the state of where things are, I am yes-anding the reality in front of me. And I am saying I can still move forward online with beautiful platforms and tools that you folks have generously created. So thank you.
That's right. Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today, Kathy. And thank you to all of you for watching with us. I'm Amanda with the CMI, and this is Ask the CM World Community. We will be back next week, noon Eastern Monday, with another awesome Content Marketing World speaker. Until then, be well. Bye, Kathy.